I'm Rob Grimm, and today we're wrapping up our tutorial with Stephanie Cotta. We're going to be going through her portfolio, talking about the images that she's created and why they're in her portfolio. And we're also going to talk to her about the things that we learned from our first tutorial. So, welcome back.
Thank you.
It was really fun to watch you work. Really interesting. As a photographer, I was just amazed at your process. It's so different from what I do on a daily basis. It was really interesting and really intriguing. First of all, I'm incredibly interested in how the posing came about, because it's really amazing to watch you. You're really moving these babies around.
Yes.
Babies are by nature, you want to coddle them. They're babies, they're infants, 5 days old. You want to be careful with them.
Right.
And you're like moving them. And when did you get comfortable, and how did you get comfortable manipulating the babies? Because really that's what you're doing. I mean, you're really kind of manipulating their positions.
Absolutely. It definitely helped that I had already had our first child, because you see newborns even after your first newborn, and you're like, I don't know what I can do with them, especially with the parents in the room. But really, each session it became easier, and I found where I could handle them, where they wouldn't startle, and where I could handle them where it would really soothe them into the positions. Mm-hmm. The poses came about really, from, how I felt that I could mold them in a way that looked just, so precious. Starting from how I thought they could be molded in how they were when they were inside the womb. And then I would kind of stretch that a little bit and, move a thumb here, or move a hand onto the leg or something like that.
A couple of things that I found interesting. One, the positions of the fingers. I didn't realize, and I've got kids, but it didn't occur to me that you could really manipulate their hands in that fashion and really get them to look like they were holding their faces. That was cool.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought was so fascinating was their legs. Where you positioned their legs was absolutely critical to how the entirety of the pose looked, which I wouldn't have thought of, but that was really interesting.
Absolutely, and when I first started, whether it was seeing images or in my own mind thinking about how I wanted to pose them, it's not just laying the baby down. It really is the whole process of, where is the right leg going to go? Where am I putting this left foot? And so when I just started doing that over and over and just kind of repeated that process, it became easier and easier.
Was there a resource for you to find information like this, or was this just kind of trial and error for you as you were developing your business?
A lot of it was definitely trial and error. I mean, no formal training, so I kind of just had to, do things over and over, figure out what didn't work, figure out, the wrong movements with those legs, until I figured out really what worked.
Right. I know that there's some big names in newborn photography, but where did you derive some of your inspiration when you were getting started? I mean, obviously there's Ann Geddes, who a lot of people kind of feels kind of the mother of newborn photography. Where did you find inspiration?
I mean, I think Ann Geddes did amazing things for this art of newborn photography, and I think it's a relatively new thing. I just loved, the newborn itself. I mean, if you just look at the newborn, there's so many amazing features, the details of their fingers, their hands, their feet, their toes. So, while I looked at other things, I think ultimately I was just constantly trying to put them in poses that, were visually appealing to me.
What I think is so appealing about your work is that it's very simple. You've kind of stripped away a lot of what Ann Geddes does, which is costuming. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's outlandish, but it's really pushing it. You've gone the opposite direction. Some of your stuff is very simple. It's monochromatic. It's really light, and it really kind of highlights the baby.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really pretty stuff. Awesome. So let's talk about some of these images that we've got going on. First images that we're looking at is obviously the mom before she had the baby, mm-hmm. and then is this a 5-day-old or?
This little one was about, I think, 6 days old. And I just think it's so awesome to be able to document the process. I mean, a pregnant woman is just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, I mean, it's so unbelievable, really, when you think about it. And so to be able to just kind of highlight the mom before and then the mom, with her newborn afterwards, I think is just kind of magical.
What percentage of this type of work is your business? Obviously, it's mostly just newborn, but how many times are mothers coming to be photographed as well?
I'd say within the clients that I have, I say about 50% of them I do maternity sessions for.
Really?
Before, yeah.
That's pretty high. That's higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
What about on the opposite end, when the baby's born? How much are you doing as family photography? Mother and baby.
Within the newborn session, I always try to get parent pictures, even if they are less inclined to want to do that. I think there are so many ways, as you kind of saw from the tutorials, that you can pose a mom so that she looks gorgeous even 5 days out. And I don't think it's something that a mom ever has regretted, even if I've kind of forced her into it a little bit.
I'm sure it's hard. I know my wife would not want to be photographed 5 days after giving birth. It's kind of not the easiest time in life. So it's good that you can drag them out and get them there. Okay, so this next image is totally and completely different from the last one.
Yeah.
Before we were looking at just a mom on black. Now we're outside with a baby in a little bed. Did you actually go on location for this, or was it shot in the studio and merged?
I do. The great thing about St. Louis is, very hot summers, and so
you like it hot.
I do like it hot, and so if we can mirror those same, the same setup that I have in the studio and take it outside where it's 90 degrees and humid, ideal settings for the baby. So
do babies like humidity?
Oh, anything, the heat, everything.
Adults hate humidity.
Yeah, definitely no parent shots going on here.
Right,
yeah.
Right. What about noise for outside? You can't predict anything that's going on. You're in a park, but are there, cars and horses and all kinds of stuff going by?
Definitely lots of noises going on, but with that white noise that I use, I just pop it right by the baby, and that's really the only thing that they're going to hear, that they'll focus on.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Siblings.
Siblings.
Wow, beautiful kids. Look at those eyes.
I love that. If parents have not done newborn sessions, with their first little one, whether it was, not as popular back then, and it is an investment, but sibling shots, I don't think there's anything more priceless than seeing all of your babies in one spot.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Well, it's also great for you, as people have more babies, repeat business. They're gonna be coming back to you. They want the new newborn shot.
Right.
They want the sibling shots now. So once you've really developed a relationship with the family, that can go on for quite some time.
Absolutely, and that's why I think the customer service and the relationships that I form with my clients goes so beyond just that initial newborn session, because you want to be a part of their life, really forever, to be able to document that.
And let's talk about that. What do you do in terms of customer service and developing and nurturing that relationship with your clients?
From the second they email me, I want them to know that this is something that I am so thankful that they're letting me document. And after the newborn session and when I'm giving them their order, I always include like a small gift, just to say thank you, whether it's a set of wallets or a keychain or one of my favorite prints. But just really to thank them. There are so many different photographers. There's always going to be, and rather than be scared than that, I just try to do what I can to really put myself above other people.
Well, and put your stamp on it. There's so much competition. The competition in photography across any sector of photography is incredibly fierce, and you have to put your personality on it. So it sounds like you're really doing that with your clients, which is great. Love that shot. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
It's just so adorable. Tell me a little bit about this. Like, where did you come up with the props for that? Where did you find these things? This incredible ball and the acorn-looking hat.
Yeah.
Look at that little peanut.
This is actually a lampshade. When I say...
That's a lampshade?
It is a lampshade. Yeah, it is a fabric lamp. It's actually no longer sold. I don't know, maybe it was because of safety issues with
There's a fire
fabric.
hazard.
Yeah, I don't know. But for newborn poses, it looks great. But I really look for inspiration in terms of, where I get my setups from everywhere. So whether I'm paging through an anthropology catalog and seeing something. Right. The flooring also is a huge thing. People, wonder about where I get everything, and you don't need these elaborate, huge studios. This backdrop.
You don't?
I know this. Not everyone has this. But this was just like a couple of, blocks of wood that were just put together, and you don't need these,
we do found objects all the time. We find barn wood, even old wooden pallets that have aged really beautifully. It's amazing what you can do for little or no money. You can really get beautiful backgrounds. And one of the things that's really interesting is coming up with stuff that's old because it has character.
Yeah.
And that instantly lends character to the entirety of the image.
Right, absolutely.
And this is really a beautiful shot.
Thank you.
Little one. This must be earlier work.
A little bit. This is definitely a little bit earlier.
Okay.
Definitely just showing that it keeps it simple. You know, you don't need much. I mean, when I first started, I was really using 3 blankets.
That's low overhead, without question. Yeah.
A little,
That's good.
yeah. I mean, $100, and you really have everything, you know, all the different setups that you need.
Pretty amazing.
But it's not something that you need to dump, you know, thousands of dollars into. If you have a passion for this, and if you want to just say, you know, I want to get a great big camera, I want to invest in one tutorial, and I want to try this.
Well, really, with just about probably $1,000, people could get into this.
Oh, absolutely.
Without complication. You can
Yeah.
get props,
Yeah.
you can get a camera, you can really get yourself rolling for very little investment.
Absolutely. And when you think about other jobs, dream jobs, that what the overhead might be to do that, I mean, if this is your passion, I mean, you know, you know, go for it.
That's a great entry point, without
Yeah.
question. This is really starting to have that monochromatic Stephanie Cotta feel. I love where this is going. Talk about that image a little bit in terms of the purples and.
Yeah, I mean, I just love wrapping the babies just to really get them in those poses that they probably were very similar to how they were in the womb. You know, but I don't bounce a lot of color into things, but the textures is what I really love.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's like the detailing of the little pearls in her tie back, but everything just really blends together. And even if you put this image in black and white, I mean, the textures is really what's going to pop into such a powerful image.
The textures are one of the first things I noticed about your images when I was looking at them originally. I was almost wondering if you had gotten like oversized stuff.
Yeah.
Like some of the cable knitting on the blankets seems so large. I was like, did you have stuff custom made? But I guess you're picking out stuff that's a little bit unusual. When you put it in the scale with the baby, it really creates this interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if dichotomy is the right word, but it really creates this interesting contrast between the baby and these textures. And I think you're right. It's the textures that really make your
Absolutely.
Your work pop.
Yeah. Right.
Do you see that in other newborn photographers?
I see a lot of photographers when they first start, you know, they want to throw in tons of different props. And, you know, and I definitely made those certain mistakes too.
Right.
You know, things that didn't look quite as soft on the baby, or just like tons of color, you know. And I think you miss the focus, in my opinion. I mean, there's tons of great photographers out there, but I think you miss the focus of, you know, what you're trying to showcase, and that is the newborn.
Right.
Yeah.
The subject, not the prop.
Exactly.
Love that shot. I thought that was you.
Yeah. A very gorgeous mama. But I mean, I think the bond between the mom and the baby is just priceless. And
It's
I think if you
miraculous.
can show that, you know, and this, I like this because I have those poses. I have the 17 poses, the parent shots, and you know, all those other classic shots. You know, this baby was starting to wake up and really was just kind of like looking around. And once you really get comfortable with the newborn, you know, just being able to make the changes of, let's put the baby so he's looking at mom, because he's opening his eyes right at her. And, you know, what a stunning shot to get, you
That's
know,
great.
when you can really divert from the, you know, the list of poses.
So this is a great example of happy accident.
Yeah.
Something just started to happen, you
Right.
saw it, and you capitalized on it and made it into a really, I mean, she must love this image.
Yeah, that one went very large on her
I
wall.
bet.
Yeah.
I bet. Okay, so now we're getting on locations. A baby on the beach.
Yeah.
How much destination work do you do? I mean, are you often flown to other cities in order to do baby photography?
I travel about once every other month is kind of what I do. Now,
Pretty good clip.
it's, you know, and this was kind of on my bucket list to do a beach location. This was actually at a workshop that I taught in Florida. So whether I travel for, you know, newborn sessions of just like one family, or whether I'm doing workshops, I kind of choose areas that I, you know, really want to go to.
So obviously when you're first starting out, you're not going to be hired for destination
Right.
stuff. Was there a point where you started, like, had you been in the business 3 years or 2 years, where you suddenly were getting calls for that? Because naturally that's going to grow.
Yeah.
And as you continue in this business, the demand for travel is going to be even higher than it is now, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a few years. I mean, I really focused on really getting my foot in the market in St. Louis.
Right.
And I didn't worry about, you know, did I dream big? Absolutely. I mean, I still am dreaming big, you know, but I think that's what you need to do if you really want to propel yourself into any business.
Absolutely.
But, you know, once I really got, you know, my grounding in St. Louis and really became the newborn photographer, then I kind of started, you know, getting calls to go elsewhere. So it took a few years.
How many newborn photographers are just in the city, do you think?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds.
Hundreds, I would think. There's
So-
always new ones popping out.
Fierce competition.
Absolutely, always. You know, and I think, you know, in these, you know, a lot of forums, or people will email me and say, you know, I just got this, really mean email from another photographer, saying, my pricing, the burn and turn photographers. I've never been, someone to put images on a disc, one for one price. But there, I don't think that you can, really get down on yourself for what other people are doing.
Definitely not.
And I have never been one to really look at other people in my area specifically. I've always kind of just wanted to do, how I felt I should price myself.
It's a great lesson. It's certainly true with what I do. It's very difficult not to worry about the competition,
right.
But at the same time, you can't worry about the competition.
Absolutely.
You have to put your own personality on it, your own stamp on it, make your mark. And if people want your work, great.
Right.
If they're just looking for a bottom line price, they're probably going to go to somebody else, and you just got to let go and not worry about it.
It's not the clients that you want.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a hard lesson to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a hard lesson for anybody to learn, but it's one that they should learn pretty quickly.
Right, and I think it makes a difference in how you go forward with your business.
Yeah.
Whether you do that from the very beginning, or whether you are going to succumb to all those other pressures.
Right. I have often said when I'm lecturing students or talking about the business, if you want to get into commercial photography, you need to become very secure with insecurity.
Right.
Meaning you don't know when you're going to work next.
Right.
You don't know where the clients are coming from exactly, but you have to stick to exactly what you want to do. Be true to yourself, and then let the work come to you.
Absolutely. Every time I would change my pricing guide, there was always this fear in the back of my head that, what if no one books? What if I don't get any emails back? And yeah, I would definitely drop out clients from where I was before, but you're never going to advance yourself and where I wanted to be if I kept at that same pricing, especially when my work started getting better and better and better. So you got to take
Let's talk a little bit
leap
about
of
your
faith.
pricing.
Yeah.
Were you looking at other photographers' prices, or were you just going on your own gut saying, okay, I believe that with my skill level, I'm worth X amount of dollars?
Steph, it's a little bit shot in the dark was exactly how I did it. I mean, I definitely, it's not to say that I didn't look at any other photographers, but newborn art really in St. Louis was, we get everything last. We're like the Midwest.
Right. Flyover country.
Yeah. So it just wasn't as big here. So I really priced it to what I thought, my time was worth. And as a new mom, my time was pretty valuable.
How often did you change your pricing structure as you moved up through the business? How often were you changing it?
I definitely did not fall into the thinking that I could only change my pricing once a year. With my workshops, I think a lot of times people say, well, I'll change it, in start of January the next year, and it could be February, and you're going to go a whole 10 months, without changing your pricing. For the first couple of months when I really felt my work was growing, exponentially better, I would change my pricing every few months.
Wow.
And whenever a client booked, that would be the pricing that they would, I would absolutely keep it fair like that. But
do you advertise your pricing on your website, or do you just talk about it individually with clients as they call?
I keep my newborn, like my session fees and my portrait minimums on my website, but I definitely don't release my pricing guide. I think it just kind of helps them get a little bit more interested if they can send you an email and say, hey, here's my pricing guide.
Right.
So I definitely keep that off.
Good. Yeah. Smart. Now let's look at, beautiful.
Daddy's hands.
Daddy's hands.
Yeah.
Being a dad, I'm super involved with my kids.
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of dads in these images. Are dads reluctant to have the photo taken, or is it just more of a mother-baby thing, do you think?
I definitely take some parent, both of the parent shots. The mom is usually the one that has that instant bond. I know with my husband, it was kind of like, he didn't really get to know the children, even though he's super hands-on, but he didn't, you don't develop that bond, whether it's because of feeding or because, you're the one.
Oh, there's definitely a different bond. The mother-child bond is incredible.
Right.
But I personally think that the father-child bond can be amazing as well.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, it's been the most rewarding thing in my life.
Yeah.
You can take all this away from me and make me pump gas. As long as I have my daughters, I feel like I'll be okay. It's such an incredible bond.
And that's why I find the hands, so powerful, is that, you're really, the dad, represents this just very strong character.
Yeah, stronger,
in the family.
rougher,
Yeah, and I think that's why, placing a baby in that really just kind of shows that they, they'll always be there to guide them and everything.
And it's also, again, that interesting contrast in texture.
Yeah.
The kind of the larger, rougher hands, and then this just newborn that's so sweet and little and soft and squishy. King of the world.
King of the world.
Tell me about this image.
This was another shot from one of my workshops, and at my workshops I definitely try to show that you can, the simplicity of something where you take one, you have one classic, very neutral blanket, and if you want to grab a prop or two, but it's to really focus on the poses. You don't need to do all of, the wraps or anything, at the beginning. But if you can really get a couple of some of the core poses within that posing guide, then you can really start producing great work.
Yeah. It is simple. It's just two things. It's a blanket and a crown and a baby. Three things.
Yeah.
That's it. Love the sibling work. I mean, that's beautiful. Again, real simple blanket. Or is that a rug? Actually,
It is a rug. This is actually a rug, yeah. And this is how I shoot a lot of my sibling shots. You'll see no outfits really. I mean, I'm just taking some fabric and wrapping around both this, older sister and the baby. But
I wish you were around when my kids were little. Love that one too. Is that the same mom that we saw earlier?
It's a different one.
Mom.
Yeah. This was about a year ago. But I think it's just. I mean, I love being able to see, the baby size in comparison to mom size. So.
She looks so happy. Too.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a happy mom. Body parts. So you came in tight. You did put the macro lens on. You came in tight. And you do that with every session.
Every session.
Okay.
Definitely shoot some macro shots. I think, great selling point is being able to do these awesome storyboards with all of the little different parts of the body, or albums. They make great pages for the albums as well.
Right. And baby toes are the cutest. How can you not love baby toes? Okay, here you actually have done a little propping. I wouldn't call this Aunt Getty's, but this is more than I've seen in a lot of the other work with the baseball glove and the hat.
Right, and I actually put this in here because it's not quite my style.
Right.
But people ask all the time in workshops, if parents bring in something, am I going to use it? Ultimately, the parents are paying for the session. So in this case, I mean, they really wanted a shot with Dad's glove, and they had purchased the set, off Etsy. And so just going to show you that you can kind of put a little bit of your spin on it. So everything else I kept super simple. I put the baby in just a very classic pose, but I still incorporated something that was really important to mom and dad.
Yeah, and that's great. One of the things that I think everybody needs to realize, as a commercial photographer, you're not creating images for yourself.
Right.
These aren't for you.
Yeah.
They're not for your portfolio.
Right.
They might go in your portfolio.
Yeah.
But you're making images for your client.
Right.
And you have to understand what it is they want and what their objective is. And at the end of the day, that's what you have to give them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Cute baby. Really simple.
Super simple. And, baby was starting to wake up here. And again, it's just another thing of being able to not get super nervous if baby wakes up, but really just use it to your advantage.
The babies we had were pretty conked out. I mean, they were fed and sleepy. I mean, they were conked out.
Yeah.
How often are the babies waking up on you, or do they usually make it through sessions?
Usually they make it through, especially because I can really pose them quickly, but newborn photographers are probably not going to be able to get through everything. Right. So even the babies that I work with, they wake up towards the end, and that's when I'll grab some eye-open shots because parents love these, just as much as some of the other ones.
It's a lot of poses. I would think for somebody just starting out, it would be almost impossible to run through
Way
that
too
whole
many.
thing.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to break it up into 2 sessions in order to do that.
Absolutely.
Did you do that in the beginning? Did you break it up, or was your repertoire much smaller at that time where you just had a handful of things that you accomplished?
Yeah, definitely just a lot smaller. When I first started, really my galleries were around 20 to 25 images. And if I could get that, I mean, I was super happy and the parents were super happy.
Yeah.
If they don't know what they're missing, you know what I mean? They are kind of like,
right.
Now I can really throw them into a lot of different poses and a lot of different setups. So their galleries are around 50, 55 images. But no, and I would discourage against more than one session because I think that you might go crazy if you are spending 5-6 hours on one baby over even if it's over 2 days. So I think you just really focus on doing maybe half of the poses or doing just a couple of the series and getting a great gallery of 20 to 25 images, and then each session
build yourself up as you get more confidence and you can go faster and you can squeeze those babies the way you do.
Not squeeze, safe.
Yeah, it's cute. To me, this is perfect. This is right on the money. So simple, all pink, just monochromatic, and the baby really comes through. Love this image.
Yeah, this was actually a client that they adopted this little one. So they were from elsewhere in the U.S., but they actually traveled to Missouri to get the baby. So that's how they found me.
Oh, cool.
But the teddy bear represented a baby that they were supposed to get before, and then, because of other circumstances, they didn't. So just, again, parent brought in the prop, and they wanted to do something very memorable because it was, they've been on an emotional journey.
Yeah.
And
How
so,
old was that baby there?
about 5 days.
Really?
They had just, had just gotten her, and they were staying in Missouri for the court things to go through.
I would not expect that would be a major part of your business at all, dealing with the adoption issue, particularly with so many people seem to adopt babies that are a little bit older.
Yeah.
But this is, that's just a fabulous image. What a great memory for them. Twins.
My favorite.
You really?
I love them. Yeah.
You love photographing twins?
Oh gosh, it's definitely my favorite.
Twice the challenge.
Definitely challenging. Yeah, and I think a lot of people they want to try to do twins right when they start, and it's harder than it looks.
Oh. I would imagine. Just watching you deal with one baby to deal with two. What are some of the challenges you have with two babies? Obviously, trying to get their bodies to intertwine.
Yeah. Keeping them both sleeping at the same time is very important, and so the whole feeding schedule that we kind of went over is really important that they both follow that. The other thing is that you have to have either an assistant or mom and dad, because when you get one baby in one pose, that baby really needs to be spotted so you can manipulate the other baby.
Right. How long does it take to get a pair of babies in position like that?
Where you might have seen with the regular poses a couple minutes.
Right.
This one, it takes a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5 minutes to really smooth down fingers and really get them totally molded, so you don't have just two separate, babies.
Do you have a completely different set of poses that you do for twins?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously you can't do the same stuff.
No.
And with having two babies and it taking twice as long, you can't run through all 17 of those poses.
Right, no.
So you've got a whole separate set of poses for
Whole
twins.
separate set of poses that I follow for twins, absolutely.
Have you ever photographed triplets?
Not yet, no. The triplets that I've had that have been booked, they've actually had to remain in the NICU for longer.
Yeah.
So they've come to me a little bit older, so I haven't been able to get the classic newborn poses, but hopefully soon.
That'll be a challenge.
Yeah.
Wow, look at them, intertwined.
Totally intertwined. And I love this because, it started out as one of the original poses that I do with twins. But then I just felt like they just needed to be closer and closer. And so I just, kind of moving in certain body parts. And it's really paying attention to everything. How the feet are intertwined. And these are both boys, actually.
The feet, the arms,
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing work. Love this. That's a magazine cover right there. Again, very simple, monochromatic, just the baby shines through. Great propping, just great propping. And tell me about that shot. Again, very simple, very monochromatic.
Yeah, this one, Mom wanted to use the bunny rabbit.
This must be a family heirloom or something.
Yes, the bunny was definitely important. You can see it's definitely more ratted and tattered than a 5-year-old or 5-day-old newborn would make it. But the positioning of everything. That's what I think really. There's so much newborn art out there now. But nothing that I had seen like this. So it's again just really taking the things that you have. I stuck one of the pretzels under her, and then I kind of wrapped a blanket around her to kind of create this, this unique look to it. But I think if you kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try to create something that might not have been done before, I think that really sets you above other people.
You've created a great shape here too with this blanket. It's just so simple. It's a little bit of interest, but it brings so much to the party. It's a great shot. This is an earlier piece, isn't it?
This was my very first newborn session.
Very first
The
new
very
one?
first new one, yeah.
Right
back
on.
in February 2010.
All right, walk me through this. What was your thought process when you did this?
Yeah.
And what do you think of it now, going back looking at it many years later?
Yeah. This was done, I was using a Walmart, $19 beanbag, very small, which I strongly discourage now. You can see the blankets.
Just because of the safety issue?
Well, it's just not as easy. It's not as easy to pose on them when they're so small, when the beanbags are so small. The blanket's so wrinkled and stuff, but at the time, that was that was my neutral blanket that I used.
Right.
And I really didn't know how to pose the baby, but it was a matter of just getting them there and getting them rather still in some way so that I could take the shot. And the crazy thing is that I remember after the session feeling so proud of those images. I emember emailing one to my mom and showing my husband, because for me, I mean, I was just shooting with just learning to shoot on manual, so I was very proud of it. And looking back now, it's comical to me, but I show this image a lot to my workshop attendees to show, hey, this was 4 years ago. I mean, where can you go? Where can you be with your images now? I mean, if I started like that.
Well, it takes a long time to really develop your skills.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is cameras today take very, very good photographs on their own.
Right.
You know, the algorithms that are built into the multiple computers inside of a single camera
Right.
really do some pretty impressive things. But there's no substitute for understanding light and
Right.
composition, and all of that stuff just takes time to really become a master.
Right.
Which I think is one of the great things about photography. The excitement doesn't dwindle. It continues to build as you get better and better and better and better. You want to know more, you want to be
Right.
able to do more, and then you look back at your work and I'm like, wow, I've really come a long way.
Yeah.
It's really pretty cool. So good job. I mean, it's so fun to see that.
I love it. I mean, I will
Yeah.
never, I can't delete those images off my computer because it just really shows where I've been and,
That's the start of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the last image we had? That's a lot. No, we've got a couple more. More twins.
More twins, yeah. 2 baby girls here. And you can kind of just see how some of the poses of the one on the bottom, that starts from within the posing order and
Right.
then, adding in the other twin in.
That's a beautiful image. That's pretty different from the rest of your body of work.
Yeah.
This mother-child, but it's kind of larger background and standing, which I haven't seen that a whole lot in your work. So much of it is laying down or kind of shot from above.
Yeah, these are some of the mom shots that I definitely include in every session. But it's really just about, you'll see it's not about the mom's body or whatever. It's just about her hands and, her emotion with baby.
She's pretty happy.
Yeah.
A wonderful time.
The classic.
Yeah, that is such a classic pose.
The classic chin-up pose. I think when I first started, it was definitely a pose that, it just seemed so cute, but it was really figuring out the most efficient way to get him into that pose and while being safe.
Did you have references on how to do this from somebody else, or was this just trial and error? Like, how are we going to get this chin-up pose to work?
Definitely trial and error. I mean, again, I didn't I don't think there were really any tutorials back
Right.
then when I started, which could have made my process
Much easier.
much easier.
Right.
But I knew that there had to be ways to do it. I knew the baby couldn't do it on their own, and it was really just figuring out how to take the shots, and then also in Photoshop how to process it so that it wouldn't take me an hour long to get one shot.
It's really incredible. I was watching you do this, and I thought, everything I do is locked down on a camera,
Yeah.
camera stand rather, and it's very secure. It's really quite remarkable how you're able to get these 2 shots perfectly lined up when you're doing it freehand. But I think you are really in tune with your positioning
Right.
to the baby, your camera positioning. I mean, you get back in the same spot and you frame that baby in the same spot of your frame quite remarkably in order to come up with that one seamless image. How much Photoshop time do you put into creating that image?
Now with the methods that I use, it takes me about 120 seconds.
120 seconds.
It's quick.
That's pretty fast.
It's
What about when you
so
started? How long
Oh
would that
gosh,
image take you
that's
to do?
long.
Hours.
An hour,
Okay.
at least an hour on one image. I mean, just crazy. Trying to, because I was trying to line the baby up perfectly. I probably wasn't as careful when I was taking the shot as kind of I've instructed
Right.
now. Way too long for one image in a gallery of 25.
This is a great example of repetition, practice,
Absolutely.
comfort. When you first started, I'm sure you were worried just about getting the shot.
Right.
So you weren't thinking about exactly how it was going to line up
Yeah.
and making your post-production a lot easier, which as you gain more experience, people are really going to be able to see how the experience they have helps them on the back end.
Right.
That workflow is so incredibly important. And
Absolutely.
the experience they have is really going to make it all go a lot faster.
Absolutely.
Those are my favorite. I wish I could make my babies babies again so you could go back and do that. Again, your monochromatic style is really prevalent and so simple. Just a great orange, very bright, very colorful, but at the same time, simple.
Super simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the baby.
Beautiful siblings.
Another sibling shot. Yeah.
What are the oldest siblings that you've dealt with?
I've had them up to probably 10, 11, 12. if the last baby has come a little bit later.
Oops, baby.
I wasn't going to raise it like that. So, I mean, sibling chats are definitely harder than they look. It's definitely harder than
What
just...
are the challenges for you there?
You cannot control a 3 or 4 year old like you can control a newborn. So there's a lot of, I mean, that's one of the reasons about forming those relationships with the parents and really with the kids right when they walk in the room. I mean, when the little ones walk in the room, because they're not in the room for the whole session.
Right.
The focus really can't be on the newborn for that minute. It needs to be about them. How you're so happy that they're there and everything, just so that they know that it's a little bit about them, and not just this whole little creature that has transformed their world.
So that's your big trick with siblings. You make it about them and not about,
Absolutely.
hey, we need to get you involved with your little sister or your little brother.
Right.
It's all about the older sibling.
Oh, absolutely.
Very smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very smart. Again, it's so elegant and so simple, white on white.
Yeah, exactly.
Great shot. How old was the oldest girl here?
She was about 6.
Okay.
And so it's just kind of showing some of the versatility of the sibling shots. It's not all just about laying them down if you can get, them posed.
So you plan the outfits with the mom, I assume, because they're wearing identical stuff.
Yeah. Wardrobe is super important, whether it's your maternity session or newborn. Newborn session, parents are just instructed to bring pretty clean, classic, white or black.
The baby's naked half the time.
Yeah, nothing for the baby, right, exactly.
How many different outfits do you want parents to bring in a session like this? If you're doing siblings, and did they go out and they buy stuff specifically for this, I would assume?
Generally, yeah. In my newborn information packet, it kind of gives them information on where, what they should be bringing. But for sibling shots, I'll do one where I'll kind of wrap them, so it's very classic, a lot of bare skin, and then one with outfits. And same thing with parents, just to bring just one outfit, because you don't want to have to make them scramble for whole big wardrobes for the whole family before a newborn session.
And that's time. That's
right.
a lot of time you're losing with the baby as the parents trying to change or trying to get the older siblings changed.
Absolutely.
Lots of color there.
A little bit more colorful than I was than I am used to shooting with.
Is this a newer image?
No, this was actually a few years ago.
Okay.
This one was showcasing some of these new props that one of the vendors wanted me to. But it's just showcasing like the fingers, how you can really manipulate every part of their body so they can really interweave them like this.
It's crazy. Watching you work was crazy. Look at that. Love the hair.
The wrap shots. And
the wrap shots are really interesting. Really interesting. And again, were you seeing this with other photographers? Were they wrapping babies up this time?
I mean, Ann Geddes is actually one that really started with the whole wrapping them, whether they were totally wrapped in something. And other photographers use wraps. I mean, hundreds of other photographers use wraps, but it's, again, just kind of putting your own twist on it. And, I found a way to do it systematically each time that kind of helps me be successful in every session.
Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
So, looking forward to the next set of tutorials that we're going to do. We're going to get into a couple others and show people how to manipulate light in different ways and do additional baby photography. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you.